Hi everybody, it's Jack here. I wanted to give a quick little download about fear, and the emotion of fear continues to present itself to my sensibility and perception in the whole last year of the crises that we've been through, as sort of the rock bottom or the bottom line for what seems to be driving a lot of the chaos that we're all experiencing. So I just wanted to break down some fear education because it's just, to me, it seems so simple to comprehend, and it just seems to be missed so often, that people misperceive fear and have fear of fear, knee-jerk reactions to fear that seem to throw a lot of people into a place of believing what's not true and propagating what's not true and being very arrogant about what's not true. So a lot of this takes the form of conspiracy theories and anti-science and just bad advice for how to conduct oneself and for what to believe. So just in short, and I discuss a lot of these principles in other videos on my YouTube channel and in my book Climate Here, but there are two basic kinds of fear. One of the kinds of fear is what I'll call helpful or rational or reasonable fear, and the other is irrational, unhelpful fear. And the first kind of fear, like a real fear is hardwired in us, right? It's evolutionary hardwired in us because the emotion of fear, its survival goal, its positive aspect is to protect ourselves from harm and from death. So fear, the fear reaction is the fight or flight reaction. And fight or flight is a polarized reaction, right? You either fight or flight and retreat. So that's a yin-yang polarization. And so what we see is the effects of this polarization happening due to underlying fear, which I think is largely unconscious in our general collective psyche. So it takes just some real focus on fear and looking at it and learning how to work with it intelligently, so emotional intelligence around fear, to act and to think appropriately. So this first kind of fear that's hardwired in us, well, all fear is hardwired in us, but we can work with some fear. Anyway, so back to the point. There's certain fears that we should fear, like the coronavirus, for example, is a reasonable fear. It's deadly. It causes a lot of suffering. It causes damage, and it's very contagious, etc. So it's reasonable to fear that. And while we embrace our fear of the real threat of coronavirus, we also can manage that fear so it remains a functional and helpful fear, and it doesn't turn into just a wildfire of anxiety and panic. Okay? So fearing reasonable fear. Then there are unreasonable fears that while the feeling is real, it's subjectively true, objectively we need to use our cognition and our critical thinking to assess the fear and to identify if it's actually a true threat. For example, getting a vaccine. It's that the vaccines have been proven to be, by and large, safe and extremely helpful. So fearing the vaccine is largely an irrational fear. So there's a lot of fear about getting a vaccine, but that's a fear that we need to not obey, but we need to challenge. If we don't challenge it, we shrink away, and then we become a victim of our own fear. So we become a victim of our fear of reasonable fear. Sorry, we become a victim of irrational fear. So to sign up for the vaccine and to get the vaccine will cause anxiety, it will cause fear in some people. I just led a friend through this. And we just need to face the fear and do it anyway, because this is a fear that we can overcome, and in the end, it can save our life. Okay, so differentiating between the two kinds of fear is absolutely crucial for our personal well-being and our collective well-being, so that we obey and abide reasonable threats and actual threats, and with feigned threats or things that scare us that aren't actually harmful to us, we need to challenge those and move through those. So I hope that helps understand the nature of fear, so that we don't go around just fearing all fear, but we differentiate the nature of the fear so that we can either challenge it or obey it. Thanks.